I'm back, but I don't need any more stage time, but it's an honor to introduce another small business entrepreneur, an engineer, a general contractor, a draftsman. You could just sum it up. He's the archetypical master builder like Emmett from the Lego movie. No, more than that. I think of him as a connoisseur, a creative, financial guru, a family man, a good friend to me, my family, this theater, and our community. Somehow he does all these job titles and carries all these traits all at once. This is the multitasker of multitaskers and one of the most inspiring people I know. I met him about 10 years ago at a little humble coffee shop up the street, formerly, that he now owns. And I think he was working on $1 million project at the time. And I just thought, this is a smart, creative dude. I got to get to know him. And now I get to share that opportunity with you. Rahim Abbasi.
I am not an artist. I don't actually have an artistic bone in my body. Or at least that's what I was taught to believe from a young age. You see, placemaking is this interesting mix of art and science. It's the idea that you are working towards creating spaces that people are going to spend their time in. They're going to spend time to eat, to drink, sometimes live, work, maybe a little bit, play. But more importantly, it's a place where people are going to feel something. There's an emotion that is tied to that place. And this is something that's driven my interest substantially for most of my life here. I'm so intrigued by people's emotions when they're in a space because none of us will feel the same thing in the same spot. None of us are going to experience the same moment in time, much like stepping into a river. Now, I didn't know that this was a passion or something I would go into because, like I said, I was not an artist, and I was told I wouldn't be. In fact, I was told exactly what every son of an immigrant from the Indian subcontinent is told. You have 3 career options in life. Everybody at once, right? Doctor, lawyer, engineer, yeah? I was the latter, not smart enough apparently to be a doctor. Apparently maybe not good enough at talking to be a lawyer. So I was really good with Legos though, so engineering seemed to be the right path from my parents' perspective. Now, I will tell you that part of this obsession I've come upon with place spurs from the fact that I didn't actually grow up with place. I don't have a hometown. I don't have a place that I say, this is where I go back to. You know, like all the kids at college, like, oh, I'm going to go back home. I didn't know what that was, really. So I grew up in Guatemala. We moved there when I was 6. So I wasn't from Guatemala. I was from California. Like I said, my father is from the Indian subcontinent, so he's also not Guatemalan. We moved us there into a country I didn't know, with a language I didn't speak, and people we didn't know. And we moved from this typical suburban, middle-income life to this all of a sudden jump into the elite and the wealth of Guatemala City because my father's business sold to the elite. I never really made the inroads there. I was an outcast as a child. I didn't speak their language. I was not Guatemalteco. I was the American gringo at the school. And by the time I did start to make some friends, my parents split up and we moved back to the United States. First California, but only a short stint. And then the cultural mecca that is Idaho. Now I assume, thank you for the laughter, because that's exactly right. I assume all of you see my name up there. That's a very Muslim name. I spent junior high, high school, and college in Idaho. And I can tell you it was challenging. And so you can understand why I say I don't have a place. Like, Idaho wasn't my home. And I was let know of this every single day that I was there. I was constantly reminded of it. All of this changed. All of this desire for a place, this feeling changed in 2003. So I had just finished school, and I took my first job. I bought a ticket to fly down to Guatemala to go see my father and to spend some time just enjoying the fact that I had been the first of our family to finish college, get out there in the world, get a job, and succeed. And I'm sitting there in his shop in this town called Antigua, which, by the way, you should definitely go check out. It's gorgeous, UNESCO World Heritage City. It's beautiful. And I'm just sitting there in our shop. I'm rolling up a carpet. And in walks this incredible, bright and shining star. And I am swept off my feet by just her eyes. Oops, that's not going anywhere. There we go. That's her. And our love was instant. The next year and a half is a whirlwind that I barely remember, to be honest, because we were going back and forth between where she was in med school in Florida and me in Eastern Washington at the time, traveling all the time between there, going back to Guatemala. We flew to Bolivia. We went to Ecuador. I even made a personal journey to India because, as I mentioned, I'm not from a place, but I thought maybe India might be that place. And after all of that journey, we decided that we were going to settle somewhere, and we were looking for a place that we could call our own. So we ended up in Thailand. Sorry, I skipped ahead a little bit there. We ended up in Thailand. And this is right about as she's graduating. And Thailand is probably one of the most gorgeous indoor-outdoor living places I've ever seen. And we spent magical 3 weeks there, enjoying our love, basking in it. We were sitting in a pool, looking up at the moonlight one night, 2 days before we were supposed to return home. And we found a lump in one of her breasts, and not a small one. The moon dimmed. We came home. Portland was rainy, which is normal. Chemotherapy, surgery, chemotherapy again, hair loss. I watched as the woman I loved cried, questioning the hand of cards she'd been dealt. But she survived. And we started to dream again. We started to live again. And we knew that we wanted to experience things again, the world, that we weren't going to leave anything left to unseen. And so we traveled further. We went to India, we went to Indonesia, and we both had this passion for architecture and design, and we spent all of our time just experiencing places and feeling the emotions in those spaces. And let me tell you something, your emotions are heightened when you are traveling together in love and having just dealt with what is potentially life-threatening. 2008, we are preparing ourselves for another journey. We're getting ourselves ready to go to Argentina. Now, Argentina was on the docket because, quite frankly, I wasn't very happy in Portland at the time. You know, I made a joke about Idaho, but truthfully, the Pacific Northwest isn't much better. Sad truth. And it didn't feel like home still. No matter that we had a condo, no matter that we lived in the Pearl District and we had a great, fun life that we enjoyed, it wasn't home. So we were going to go to Buenos Aires and explore and look for that place Well, 2 nights before we're supposed to leave, go to bed, maybe drink a little too much that night, get a phone call first thing in the morning. She's on her way to pick me up from her work. There's an imagery lab open in Gresham we're going to go to. 4 hours later, we're checking her into the hospital she works under a Jane Doe. The mass growing inside of her was so large, it had split open and was spilling blood directly into her abdomen. Stage 3 ovarian cancer, endometrial, uterine. No opportunity to consider alternatives. We knew it was full hysterectomy. She was given a less than 40% chance of survival over 5 years. I sat there in a hospital bed next to her as she was sleeping off the surgery. And I vowed that every moment of our life afterwards would be dedicated to her experiences, what she wanted to feel, what she wanted to see, anything in life, any journey she wanted to take, that's what we were going to do. 3 months later, I was laid off from my job. So there we are, dealing with disease. I'm jobless. And I still am amazed today that she looked at me smiling when I announced that I had been laid off. She was happy. She was so excited. She said, "This is the greatest thing that could happen because now we have time. I'm no longer subject to somebody else's demands. I'm free." And so she convinced me that I could just do my own thing, that I didn't need to accept that I was working for someone else and that I needed to do what they wanted me to create, but that I could go out there and create my own thing. And so I spent the first few months of 2009 trying to figure out how to make a business. How do I create this? Because nobody trained me in it. Nobody taught me how to do this. I just got thrown into it. And I started spending every day at the Bureau of Development Services in the city of Portland and waiting as I heard people having problems getting their permits to build. And I had to ask, why is this so hard? Like, what makes this so challenging? And I would just sit there and I would hand my card out to people. So guerrilla marketing, literally, like throwing my card out to anybody who take it. I was up on Craigslist posting. In fact, my first project ever was for a strip club in Portland. Thank you. Very interesting client meetings. But, I was just out there, hustling to make a living, basically, still, though. And it wasn't until we made another decision in 2012 to move up here to Vancouver, to a different place. Now, I'll be honest with you, I had no interest in coming to Vancouver at the time. I mean, I didn't even know Vancouver existed, quite frankly. But that's not true, okay? I knew it existed. She worked up here, so I can't say that. We started coming up here and spending time up here and looking for a house. And, we made it through disease. We made it the 4 to 5 years. And we thought it's time we could dream again. We can make a life for ourselves. And we started doing that. We started setting down our roots. I found a purpose in this community. I was very lucky one day. I was sitting down at Compass, which, if any of you remember Compass when it was its first iteration, on Main Street, it kind of looked like a college dorm. I really liked hanging out in that college dorm every morning, so I would do that. I'd sit there waiting for the bus, and then I would catch the bus, go down to Portland, and I would just hang out with plans on the counter right there, and I'd be working. One day, one of the owners asked me if I would be willing to help them expand to a new place, and I said, sure, that sounds like a fun idea. Let's do that. That sounds great. I love your coffee. I want to help you grow. Didn't realize payment was going to be in coffee. But they may not have known how much coffee I drink all at the same point. So what's amazing is 2 years after that, we were through 2 general contractors that we had fired, wasted the majority of one of the owner's retirement funds, and still not open. And I felt guilty because I wanted to help. I wanted to see something happen in my town, in my community now, where I was placing my roots. And so I got some guys together, and we went in, and we took over construction. And 2 months later, we opened to this incredible response from the city. We went from being the college dorm to Vancouver's living room. So a step up. You could stay on our sofa if you wanted. And it was an amazing experience to watch as this little coffee shop could have that kind of impact on people and bring them together. And I still spend every day there. Now, fast forward a little bit, and as Dan mentioned, I may have become an owner in the business, and maybe possibly purchased the old guys out. But what I didn't expect out of all of this was that the community would come back to me, that not just was I investing in my community by being part of something, but that the community would come back to me, that people would reach out to me afterwards and ask for me to get involved with other projects, other businesses. I wasn't anticipating any of that. And I realized that by opening myself up and exposing myself to opportunity, that it was coming to me. And I stand up here humbly and amazingly thankful that my wife is still with me. She's here. And we have 3 children, 2 who were just born in March. And I get to still live up to the vow I made to her, that I would do everything I could to make places that we would spend our time and experiences that we wanted, and that I would not settle for something that wasn't what we wanted. And so my only hope is to inspire all of you to go out, explore the world, explore emotions, explore love, explore trauma, explore tragedy, and find something from this. Bring it back to your community. Put it into action here. Do what creatives are doing on these streets already, down at the waterfront, on Main Street, Washington. There's restaurateurs, there's business owners, there's designers, artists, everything, mural artists that doing incredible work in these streets. Do your own. Get out there and come back. Don't create mediocrity. Don't let mediocrity be what you expect in your community. Don't be afraid. Just get out and do something. Make your passion your purpose. Thank you.